Hello there. My name is Ryan Baum. I'm the Vice President of Business Development with TruHearing. And welcome to the Sweetest Sounds, where we're going to do a little bit of a cooking demo for you today and explore the way that sound, among other senses, influences the way that we cook, we prepare food, that we enjoy food, our dining experiences. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Jen Carroll, award-winning chef and finalist at Bravo's Top Chef. Jen has a restaurant here in Philadelphia called The Spiced Finch, as well as her experience company, Carroll Couture Cuisine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be back cooking with you in the TruHearing family.
Yeah.
We've done this a couple times before, and now it's just like coming over for dinner.
I know, we love this because we keep getting deeper into how important the senses are in everyday life with simple things that we never think are applicable, like preparing a meal or enjoying it with loved ones.
Right, I mean, cooking is so much more. You involve all of your senses, all 5 of your senses, right? Seeing, feeling, sight, touch, smell. I think I got all of them there.
Yeah.
If not, you can help me out. But today we're going to be making one of my favorite all-time dishes, chicken schnitzel with a chipotle, a Brussels sprout salad.
All right, cool. There's a lot going on. There's mini heads of lettuce here too.
Sure.
Did you shrink them for this?
I did.
Okay.
Especially for the demo. Do you want to start cooking?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to start off first with our chicken.
Okay.
Right here I have some beautiful chicken breast that I've already rinsed. We are going to trim off a little bit of the fat and get them pounded out. So let me move this down here. And for the schnitzel, you're going to see what one breast turns into multiple pieces. So you don't need a lot. Like 2 breasts will happily feed your entire family of 4 to 6. I like to take the chicken breast and I turn it upside down so it exposes the tender here. And the first thing I do is I take my knife and I just take that off. And basically I'm going to slice down into thin pieces. And next, you can see how it's like a little bit uneven. Up here at the top is always a little bit fatter. And so we're going to take the knife, and again, nice like smooth strokes. This is why it's important to have a sharp knife. Okay, so you can get through nice and evenly. And again, we're going to come down.
Wow, even further, huh?
And slice it further. At this point, we're going to cut it again, so we have nice, like the same size pieces.
I love the sound of that sharp knife just going across the cutting board. That's really cool. I love that, yeah.
And then
You just got to be careful because if you hear an interruption in that, it could be a finger.
I'm gonna move that over, and we're going to, for easy cleanup, but this is also a trick that we use in all of the restaurants, is lining things with plastic wrap before we pound, okay?
Great.
So I'm gonna move this just directly right up here, and we're going to take our plastic wrap. And I love this sound too. You hear the plastic wrap and then you hear this.
Yeah, it's
like
kind of satisfying, huh?
And so we're going to put a layer of plastic down onto our cutting board or your table or whatever. And we're just going to add the pieces of chicken right on to the plastic wrap. We're going to space them out. And we'll go with this one. So we have kind of the same size pieces.
Okay.
And we're going to add a layer of plastic wrap right back on top of it. Again, that plastic wrap sound.
Yeah, you can hear that stretching right across the, right across your canvas, so to speak.
And you want to try
and you're sealing it.
And get that nice and tight and pushing down. We can get the wrap out of the way. And next, you can use a meat mallet.
Okay.
I don't have a meat mallet. I have a heavy copper pot, which I like to use. Like, feel this. Pretty heavy.
Wow.
Right, there's some good weight to it. So this is definitely going to
And that's more coverage.
Work. Exactly. And if you don't have a nice like pot that you want to use, you can use a rolling pin.
Okay.
That will also work, right? When you're pounding it out.
Okay. So you can substitute and improvise. You don't have to have all the tools and toys to get it done.
Exactly. And if you have a meat mallet, make sure you're using the flat side, not the side that is like the tenderizing side.
Okay.
Okay, because the tenderizing side will break up your chicken and
that's not our goal here.
Right. Okay, so this is, you know, the sound of pounding, right?
Okay. And it's interesting because you can hear sort of it respond differently to different thicknesses in the chicken too, so that's neat.
Exactly. And if you miss a chicken, big difference, right? But you see, this is about half of the chicken breast, and we're getting...
that's not even a full chicken breast.
Yep.
And look at the coverage on that.
So that looks pretty good to me. We're about a 1/4 inch thick.
Now this schnitzel is even thinner than a lot of the cutlets I've experienced. So I can't wait to see how this comes out. Very neat.
So we're gonna remove.
And I would imagine at that thickness they would cook up pretty quickly.
They're gonna cook really quickly. So that is why I like the importance of having your pan hot, and we'll get there. But so it cooks quickly and gets nice and super crispy because we gotta have that crunch in the schnitzel.
I like that.
All right. I'm gonna crack the eggs because we're gonna get into making the breading for the schnitzel. So cracking the egg, and we're going to, I'm gonna whisk one at a time. You know, that sound.
Yeah, from the cracking of the egg to the yolk hitting the bowl and then the whisking sound, right?
Yep. So obviously the chicken breast is not going to fit into here. I like to pour it into a wide bowl or a plate, and we're going to do that over again. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to season. Okay? So sometimes some people like to season their breadcrumbs, their flour, their eggs, but I'm going to season the meat itself. Okay. And because it's so thin, you don't need a ton of salt and pepper. You know, this isn't a steak where you want to like cover the whole thing. And you know,
there's something satisfying about that, isn't there? The grinder.
Black pepper, yes. Grinding salt first too is also really cool.
I like that more coarse sea salt and the sound it makes as it's.
So again, both sides, and when you season, you see like how high my hand is, and this is just so it's getting even coverage.
Yeah.
See, you know more than you told me. You told me you didn't know much about cooking. Come on.
And that's our story, Jen. When I go home today, I still don't know much about cooking.
All right, so now before we bread, I'm gonna get our pan heating up, and I like using cast iron pans because it holds the heat really nicely and evenly. So this is one of the sounds that I love, is when I turn on the burner and hearing the gas ignite and then the flame. So let's listen for that.
Love that.
You hear that?
It's the start of something good, right?
Right.
You know, I think the interesting thing too is a lot of people say, hey, is it ready? And they might put their hand here to see how hot it feels, right?
Right.
But you just described another way of determining, you know, helping you to observe how hot it might be or how high the gas is listening for the sound of the gas trickling out versus flowing out at a faster speed, right? And you can hear that clearly. Yep.
So we have flour here, and you can use any type of flour you want. We have a gluten-free flour today.
Thank you.
And you can also use, if you're not using I like to use like this cup for cup flour, but one other great substitute is potato starch or rice flour.
Okay.
And they both help with getting things super crispy. And then I like to just drip our cutlet in, okay, into the egg, and we're gonna let the excess drip off of it. And then we're gonna go right into our panko. And see that? Our pan is already heated up.
Yeah.
We're gonna turn it all the way down to low so it's not smoking away. And now, for the panko part, I like to get my hands involved, and I like to push on it. And panko is...
Oh, I can hear that crunching in there.
And that's why I use panko, because of that crunch. It's almost like a cracker. It's a Japanese breadcrumb that has all these like bigger, like little like crunchy bits to it. Along with it, you see like the dust coming up, the flour. So it creates that initial coating on it along with the crunch. And
with the schnitzel, I would imagine that would really enhance the crunch too, right? When
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see just like all of like the
granularity and texture. That's cool.
And then I have my plate there, ready to go. So again, we're gonna go into our flour and get that coated. And we're gonna shake off the excess flour because the flour helps this egg stick onto it, but you don't want it too thick where it becomes gummy and then the egg like falls off of it and then like your coating falls off.
So really light dusting, light coating.
Yep. Okay, again, let that come off and into our panko.
You know, I have to confess, I mean, with our approach here to the sweetest sounds, I've never really thought about cooking or food preparation in this way. And it's clear that we who don't have hearing loss take advantage of all the extra things that we get to enjoy. And, you know, that's one of the big things about the importance of treating hearing loss, which you may not realize, is 38 million Americans are suffering from hearing loss. And people might think, well, you know, it's naturally senior citizens.
Right.
Not the case. And while there's 38 million over the age of 12 Americans with hearing loss, 60% of those are between the ages of 18 and 64. You would never know.
I would have never guessed that. And
yeah.
I am still shocked at that. And I grew up with hearing loss in my family. My mom has a major hearing loss. My uncle is deaf. So I am used to it and I'm sensitive to, you know, feeling like you're missing out on conversations or not being able to hear. And, you know, like what I experienced with my mom firsthand was, you know, always saying what. And you know what, as a child, like I got in the habit of saying what even when I could hear, or turning up my TV really super loud just because that was what I was used to. And then, you know, I think one of the worst things is being out at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And when you can't hear what your friends or family are saying, I think that is so sad, because honestly, as I've gotten older and, you know, working under the hoods in the kitchen, constantly screaming and moving around and having music on, I think I have developed some sort of hearing loss over the years as I've gotten older too. So maybe I need to come get tested with you guys.
Well, you know, that's one of the cool things. You don't have to come and get tested with us. We have an option on our website, and I think the pandemic, which has changed both of our businesses, right?
Very much
I mean,
so.
you know, it's changed it dramatically, and we have to respond in different ways to continue to, you know, to take care of our guests and our customers respectively in the way that is going to be most sensitive and responsive to their needs. So we launched at TruHearing this year. You can go right to our website and you can try an online hearing screening. All you can do from any device, a smartphone, from your computer, and all you need is a pair of ear pods or headphones, whatever you have, and it's going to tell you if you have if you're experiencing hearing loss, and it's going to suggest to you, if that's the case, that you go see a hearing specialist or an audiologist, and give you an indication if there's an issue. So, you know, you don't have to go anywhere. You can do it from the comfort of your home.
I love that, and I'm definitely going to be doing that because I have ear pods, I have headphones, and
it's like a 5 minute thing.
I need to know.
Yeah.
But, okay, we got our chicken done. We have our pan heating up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to shred the Brussels sprouts.
All right.
Okay. Have you used a mandolin?
I have.
Okay. So take it from the top, and we're going to just slice across. Now, after I do a couple slices, I like to go into the bowl and to check the thickness of it.
Neat.
And for this recipe, we want it really nice and thin because we're shaving it.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
You know, they do make guards for these, which I suggest using if you are not as experienced. So. crisp, crunchy. You don't seem to be hating it.
I mean, it's not the worst. I'm not super excited just yet about raw Brussels sprouts. If I'm being honest, I'm just gonna be honest.
Do you like broccoli or a cauliflower?
I try not to.
Or do you like any cabbage at all?
So, yeah, like I love corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day.
On St. Patrick's Day.
I don't know that I've had much exposure to it.
You feel healthy when you're eating Brussels sprouts, right?
I feel so much better. I think my cholesterol just went down 50 points from that one bite.
I think the idea of feeling healthy and being healthy, like getting a vegetable, is something great. But you know, now that we have all these little discs, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna break it up.
Got you.
And if you want to do that,
I would love to.
And start like separating that one. I give a little white.
I think at least we know that we have the security that I won't be eating it as I go, like I would maybe like a nice cookie dough batter or something like that. So I'm the right man for the job. Oh yeah, cookie dough.
Okay.
So is this coming together?
That is looking
I even love to
good.
hear as I'm running through my fingers and feeling it, which is not a sensation that I've had before. But it's interesting to even hear like the freshness and it break in my hands as I'm separating it. So that's kind of neat. All right.
So we're gonna coat our pan with a neutral oil. Our pan has been on. One of the things I like to do, like you can start to see, right, using another sense here, is you can see the oil, if you look closely, starting to shimmer a little bit, and you can see some of the smoke coming off,
you can.
Right?
I've never really noticed that.
Right, the shimmer, okay? And now like I'm gonna turn my pan down because it's starting to smoke a little bit, so I know it's hot, but one of the things I like to do too when I'm not sure, stand back.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna do.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
I know it's hot now.
You know, and that's just a little bit of water.
A teeny tiny, like it was, I wet my fingers and then I went like that. So if you're doing it at home, make sure you know to like stand back. Okay, make sure your pan, your oil is all over. And whenever I put anything into a pan that has a little bit of oil into it, I hold it up and angle it away, and then I put it in and push away. Okay, and let it come back over.
It's great. Wow, you hear that? Wow.
Okay. And again, we're going to go again.
Oh, yeah. The little stuff you don't pay attention to and you don't appreciate all the time. You know, I was telling you a little while ago that, you know, of those 38 Americans that have hearing loss, you know that the data shows us that 75% of those people don't even bother to get checked and aren't getting any kind of interventions. So it's sad to know that they're missing out on some of these sounds and some of these senses that add a lot of joy to the experience, right? And that's part of our mission. We want to get people, you know, the care that they need to make sure that they're not missing out.
Yeah, that is sad that people don't get checked because, right, when we first put this in, there was like a little light sizzle.
And now?
And now, as it's getting hot, the pan's getting hotter, we're hearing a lot of that sizzle.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you have to pay attention to when you're cooking is if there was no sizzle at all. That means your pan's not hot.
Right.
Take your cutlet out, wait for it to come up, have a minute of patience, and then go with it. So now that there's a lot of sizzling going on, I'm just gonna give it a little check. I can see it's getting nice and golden brown. So grab that white bowl. Let's put it right here. I'm going to pass you the spatula.
Okay.
You're going to add in our mayonnaise.
Perfect.
You can add all of it in.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Perfect.
7th grade home economics technique. You're welcome.
Next we're going to add the lemon juice. Don't add all of it, probably about a quarter of it. Okay?
About a quarter of it.
Yes. We have about a cup and a half of mayonnaise there, and you're going to add a quarter cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. That looks good.
Okay.
We can taste and adjust. That's also the fun thing about cooking is tasting. So you can start to give it a little bit of a stir, and you're going to add in that Chipotle liquid here. So when you buy a can of Chipotles, there's like the peppers that are in there and then the liquid surrounding it. You can add the pepper in too, or blend it up in a blender.
A little extra bite.
It definitely has a lot more fire to it. So add that all in. I like a little spice in there.
Me too.
But one of the great things about mayonnaise or fat, what it does with spice is that it mellows it out, right? It takes some of that fire away. And the acid from the lemon juice also helps cut through the fat and the fire, and so it helps blend everything together and harmonize it so nothing is too sharp or too tart or too spicy.
A little chemistry in there, I like that.
Okay, I'm gonna add a bit of salt.
Okay. Could hear that grinding through your fingers.
A little bit of black pepper. We don't need much pepper because we already have the pepper from the Chipotle. Okay, now we can't have this without fresh garlic.
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna take the microplane. I'm gonna take this for you. You're gonna take the microplane and you're going to, we're gonna move it close to this microphone. Okay, and you're gonna grate it against there. So again, be careful.
No flesh.
No flesh. You know, if we do get a little bit of you in there, I guess it's just me and you eating. You were a little afraid about Brussels sprouts. Maybe I'm the one who should be afraid.
You might be. It might be advisable.
That looks great. So again, click that.
Look at me.
Perfect. You are a pro.
Well, stop. All right. So we got to stir. Where'd my spatula go?
So you can take
Thank
this.
you.
Grab the whisk. We're gonna
whisk
whisk it. We're gonna whisk it. So we're gonna break down any little pieces of mayonnaise that we have going there.
All right.
I'm gonna.
Heck, we got a symphony going over here.
Right.
Whisking and sizzling.
Whisking and sizzling. I'm gonna add in these last 2 pieces of chicken.
You know, it's really interesting and honestly a lot of fun when we can experience the preparation and the cooking in a different way and really engaging the senses. So hearing loss is actually the 3rd most prevalent physical chronic condition in the United States. It's even more prevalent than cancer and diabetes. Really? And yeah, and the thing is, it's so preventable, right? I mean, when it's not attended to, it has such significant impact on one's life and on the life of loved ones as you experience growing up, right? Even during a time of pandemic, and really especially during a time of pandemic, untreated hearing loss can lead into a number of other conditions and comorbidities. People with untreated hearing loss are more likely to suffer depression, early onset dementia, have falls. People with even moderate hearing loss are 3 times as likely to suffer a fall. And then it goes into other aspects of your life, like interpersonal relationships, social isolation, which is particularly compounded during a time like this. It may affect productivity at work.
Yep.
It may affect interpersonal relationships. Even in the people you know who have in love, who have suffered from hearing loss, after a while, asking someone to repeat themselves, would you say you give up after a while and you withdraw a bit and you stop asking? And
you feel bad, right? You feel bad that you're always saying what, and you feel uncomfortable doing it with people that you don't know. Right. So a lot of times I understand where that depression can come from. I understand where the isolation can come from. So that's really sad, and that's something that we want to prevent.
Yes, so preventable. So.
Okay, let's get our herbs cut. You can use parsley, you can use basil, you can use mint, whatever you like the most is what I want you to use. Okay, here's another bowl where we're going to mix our salad. I use the stems and the leaf because there's so much flavor in the stem.
Wow, okay, I would have never thought to use the stem.
So we're going to take off a couple, before we go in and chop it, we're going to pull out some of the leaves, and we're going to keep them for garnish to make the plate look really beautiful, right?
Okay.
So now I'm just going to gather it together and hold my fingers back.
Yep.
And I'm just going to slice across. But you hear that crispness from the herbs fresh?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a sharp knife.
Mm-hmm. Right, and you can cut them as small or as large as you want. Now we're gonna take into this bowl.
Okay.
We're gonna add some of our Brussels sprouts. Maybe another little handful, since we're just making one plate right now. We're gonna add our cilantro in. I like a lot of herb in all of my salads. It just changes them completely. And we're going to add that in. We're gonna add a little bit of salt in. I go all the way around. The black pepper.
There it is.
And we're gonna take some of this delicious Chipotle dressing. And when I dress, I like to go around the outside of the bowl. And then I drizzle a little on top, okay? And that's one of the things that we do at the restaurants too, okay? And now I'm gonna take a spoon.
Oh, okay.
Right, and so as you're mixing, your lettuces or whatever typical vegetables are usually rubbing against the side of the bowl. So this is a way to ensure that you're coating everything evenly instead of having like a big clump right in the center. So I think
Wow, it's all smelling different now even. I don't know. You think?
I think you're gonna love it.
You think I'm gonna be a Brussels sprout fan after this?
I think so. But this is pretty good. It is fully coated all the way around. It doesn't have too much dressing on it. If you put too much dressing on it, right, your salads kind of become like heavy and feel weighted down, and they look weighted down. But if you like a ton of dressing, then go for it. But this is just looking
just
good.
right, yeah.
Looking good to me. So we're gonna move that there. I like to do the Brussels sprouts around. Get all of that on there.
That's great.
I kind of spread it out because we want to see the whole thing. Move that bowl down, and then we're gonna go with our beautiful chicken schnitzel.
Wow, that looks great.
On top, some pieces of cilantro. And then very simply, you can serve with a lemon wedge. And give a little squeeze on top. Chicken schnitzel.
That looks amazing. You mentioned before that in your restaurant you've tried to create an opportunity to engage the senses more. How do you do that in a restaurant?
So atmosphere is a really big thing in a restaurant. So dimming the lights to a certain degree, but also sound, playing the type of music that makes sense in your restaurant and in your space. Maybe it's different types of music in different spots of your restaurant if you have a large restaurant. And for instance, at Spice Finch, we really thought about people being able to hear themselves, and one of the new technologies that we use is our speaker system. And all of our speakers can be controlled where we can either make the sound higher or lower. So for example, at the bar, we have the music going a little bit louder to feel a little bit livelier. But in our back dining rooms, we have it a little bit lower and a little more subtle in the background. Or if a guest comes in and is having a problem with hearing and says, it's a little loud for me, can you turn it down? We have the ability to do that.
When we're going to go out to dinner with friends or loved ones, we think about what we want to have that experience be like. And I have had conversations before, well, let's not go there. It's so loud, we won't even be able to talk.
Yes.
Right? And I, as a person who doesn't suffer hearing loss, am aware of that. But for people who do, they may have different problems, right? It's not always that they can't hear volume. It may not be that they can hear certain sounds, or, they process sounds differently. So, with hearing aid technologies today, we have different hearing aids that come in different colors. You don't even notice that people are wearing them anymore.
Wow, yeah.
And, discreetly, they can, on their smartphones, because they're all digital, they're all Bluetooth enabled, they can adjust volume and settings. They can, be able to set them for the environment that they're in. And what happens with the memory of the cell phones, they can tell when they're at your restaurant, they can say, hey, we're here again. So it's going to automatically remember that location.
That is so cool.
And set itself to the appropriate setting for that location. It's going to recognize it. So it's going to help you to focus on the people that you're with and that you're there to be with and share a meal with and have an experience. So the hearing aid technology today is beyond anything I think most even recognize or imagine. And it's such a privilege to be able to have this conversation around such an everyday task and an everyday experience. Because at TruHearing, we are the industry leader for hearing healthcare, and we have over the last 17 years been able to give access to 130 million people to quality, low-cost hearing aid benefits and discount programs. So, we're in the business of changing people's lives and improving their quality of living so that they can do the things that some of us take for advantage. Go to a restaurant and have a wonderful meal and experience through all of our senses what that means. And while we're tasting, let me say this before my mouth is full. Follow Jen Carroll. She's a friend of the TruHearing family. She has built an environment and companies and resources to help us engage all of our senses, and the one thing that across all cultures across the world brings people together. So thank you, Jen. Follow her at Instagram at Chef Jen Carroll. 2 R's, 2 L's.
Yes.
Right? All right. We going? Oh, I like what you're doing
the
there.
whole bite. You got to get it all together.
Now I have buyer's remorse. Hold on. I want it all together. Yes, let's do it. All right. Here we go. Oh, it's so good.
Awesome.
This is absolutely delicious. So thank you all again for attending and enjoying our virtual cooking demo with us. Thank you for being part of the Sweetest Sounds, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.